Hi, guys. Welcome to Game Changers Voices of the Industry, a podcast where we sit down with the people shaping the gaming and esports ecosystem from the inside. From game development to live operations to esports, production, and community building, we explore the real decisions, challenges, and thinking behind the industry straight from the people doing the work. Today's guest works at the heart of how some of the world's most successful mobile games are built, evolved, and sustained. Arjun Ratra is a game producer at Supercell, a studio known for its small independent teams, strong creative ownership, and an uncompromising player first mindset. In this episode, we'll unpack what game production really looks like behind the scenes, how live games are shaped over time, and what it takes to build games that last for years. Arjun, welcome to Game Changers. It's great to have you here.
Happy to be here.
All right. Arjun, let's start with your journey. Like, how did you first find your way into game production, and what drew you to this role specifically?
I wasn't meant to go into game production. I was an artist, and my master's is in VFX and animation. But while I was working in an animation studio, someone said that apparently the way I talk sounds like a producer. So I should try working in production. So I started in VFX as a production intern, and from there I went into games as an intern. And since then, it's been like 9, 10 years that I've been working as a producer across various gaming companies.
Oh,
So
awesome.
it was purely like someone telling me that I should give this a try, and I tried.
So someone else's instinct is what worked for you,
Yeah,
probably.
yeah.
All right. Okay. And for someone outside the industry, how do you usually explain what a game producer actually does on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah. So the role of a producer is defined differently in different companies. It's a very agile role, like pun intended, but people try to like sort of mold the role as per the requirements of the company. In my head, my definition of a producer is around three key pillars, which is product, project management, and people. So a good producer needs to be a people manager. You need to understand the product that you're building. You need to be able to have conversations around metrics. You need to understand where you're investing your team's time and if that's going to lead to something or not. And then the last one is project management. You have to make sure things get delivered at best quality and when they're meant to. So you need to make sure your timelines are working fine. So I try to build the role around these three key pillars.
Nice, interesting. Like, at least it's summing up everything that happens actually in production. Awesome.
Yeah.
And now bringing this into your time at Supercell, this it's obviously a studio which is operating very differently from others, like most others. Like Supercell is known for its small, highly autonomous teams. So how does that fundamentally change the way games are built?
So there are two parts to this question. We rely on small autonomous teams when we're building games because when you're actually prototyping, when you're building something new, you don't need that many people because the more number of people, the more number of decisions, the more number of people that you need to keep involved. So small agile teams working on like test something out, see if it works. If it doesn't, then move on to something else. But Supercell has changed the approach in terms of live game teams, where these teams are not small anymore. For reference, the team that I work in is around like 50 plus people, which is on par with other gaming studios running live operations. Because when you run live operations and if you want to scale games and if you want longevity, you need to have more number of people taking different roles. Like you need marketing, you need growth, you need UA. It can't be run on like a very thin crew if you want to like sustain your game for a longer duration. And we believe in games that like outlive like pretty much everything. So and yeah.
Of course. But like you said, like during production, the team size is small. So everybody, like every team has that much ownership, right? Individually. So what does
Yeah.
decision making actually look like in practice?
It's tricky because like there's no top-down decision making that happens here. It's we trust the team's gut a lot. Where like if someone says like, "Hey, I really think this is the right thing to do," that is given a good amount of weightage because if the person is a part of a team and if they have a voice and if they feel about something, then that needs to be valued.
Right.
Um, and let's say when we're building a new feature for a game, sometimes it does get a little tricky because people have varying opinions on like, let's go this direction or let's go this direction. But I think that's the fun part of building games because if you have a tunnel vision and if you focus just on like, this is what we need to do, then you don't have varying opinions on the table. And then like that's probably not the best way to be building games. But when we make decisions, it's the whole group getting together. Uh, Everyone brings their points to the table. We get some data backing on things that we want to do. We value gut. If someone really feels like this is what needs to be done, that is valued. And then combining all of them together, we try to take the best possible decision. There are scenarios like it sounds very utopian, but there are scenarios where like sometimes a decision is not made, but then we have enough trust within our team where we even if we disagree and we commit.
Right.
So, and that is one of our values.
Hmm. Understood. Interesting. Okay, so was there like a mindset shift, that you personally had when you joined Supercell, like from the earlier experience that you had?
Oh yeah, so like in a candid way, one of the shocking things was you like me as a producer, I had to tell people to like take their foot off the accelerator. Like people would keep working, and I had to be like, do not burn out. And that was a very new conversation where like I'm messaging people on weekends saying like, can you stop making commits now? Like it's the weekend, take some time for yourself. But that's the fun of like working in a company like Supercell where like each and every member of your team wants to be there, wants to be making games, and they're super passionate
Yeah.
about what they do on a day-to-day basis. So as a producer, like that was a very new thing for me where like normally I would always have conversations of like, hey, can we do a bit more? Can we do a bit more? Like here I had to have that conversation of let's chill a bit. I think we have done what we need to do. This is good. Let's see how this works.
Got it. Interesting. So, because everyone is working on, like we spoke about ownership, right? That even becomes more interesting once the game is live, right? So, when player data comes in, or like, there are constant updates that come into play. So, as a producer, how do you decide what to change over time and sort of what to protect?
So I don't think that's a producer's decision to define that.
Mm.
Uh, my decision, so my role is more of a catalyst where when the team comes together and we figure out this is an opportunity that we need to move towards. My role there is to make sure that we are investing in the right thing.
Mm.
Uh, we are not overcommitting. We're like cool new opportunity. Let's spend 1 year trying to build this and then see how it works. Can we test it fast? Can we see if this is really going to work? Build an MVP, and then making sure that it gets delivered on the right timeline, gets tested. We get results, and then we see like if we want to invest more time in it. So my role is more of a catalyst when like the conversation has happened, we've come up with a decision. This is what we're doing. Then my role comes into play of like making sure that this gets done in the best possible manner.
Got it. Okay. And what about player feedback? Like, how much influence does that have really on the production decisions?
A lot. So for reference, like whenever we ship a new feature, anything new going into the game, we have not just community managers, but pretty much everyone within our team monitoring all our forums,
Mm.
where the moment a feature goes live, everyone has started sharing stuff from Reddit, wherever like our players are talking, and those get translated very quickly into our next cycle of like, this seems like a really good thing to be done within the game. Let's make this change. And we are very quick with that, where we value, like, our one of our key pillars is player first. If our players are liking what we are building, then we are going to be successful and we are going to have a long living game.
Right.
So yeah, it's mad, and like it's very different from other studios that I've worked at, because like I've seen scenarios where like players have given a certain feedback and we have changed massive things to make sure that that feedback is addressed. That being said, players also sometimes don't exactly know what they mean, and that is where the team's expertise also comes into play of like, this is what they're feeling. Can we actually understand what the problem is? And then this is what we need to ship to
Right.
fix that problem.
Right. Sometimes what they're saying plus, what actually data says does not go,
Sure,
it
yeah.
can't even match. And then like the team has to figure out what exactly needs to be done. So
Yeah. Yeah.
got it. Is there any example that you would probably like to share, like where community feedback led to a major rethink or change?
And since I'm working on a live game, I don't think like I can give you specifics of like when that has happened.
Okay.
But I can assure you it has happened
Hmm.
on several features, and it happens very frequently. Like even for like minor UI modifications that we make within a game,
Hmm.
players tend, because most of our players have been with the game for like 7 8 years. When we make UI modifications on the screen, they don't really like that because that's something new that they need to train their muscle memory for, right? uh, but we also need to keep doing that to keep making sure we have enough amount of space within the game for all the content that we're making. So whenever that happens, players absolutely hate it. And there have been several times when we made changes, uh, and they were like, this is absolute trash, and we've reverted immediately. But we fixed the problem and then we rolled it out again. And then they've appreciated us for that. Like, it's really nice to see on forums when players acknowledge that, hey, we gave this feedback, they fixed it, and now it's here. So oftentimes players become moderators where they'll like, if someone starts ranting on forums, they come in and they're like, you know what, like they do this, they listen to our feedback, give them time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, this is what actually player first means, right? So yeah.
yeah.
Do you believe like maintaining a long-term vision, does Supercell have a long-term vision for its games, or does it actually happen, and how do you balance that vision while you're shipping so many updates, like multiple updates?
So we have a long term vision where like we know this is the space that we need to be in.
Mm.
We know that like 2 years down the line, this is what our game should look like, and we keep working towards that. Now that being said, we are a live title. Things change
Yeah.
pretty much every day. So we have to adapt. But it is important to have that like milestone that you're working towards. Otherwise, you'll be shifting around pretty much every day. So we have a roadmap that we work on, but we are very flexible with our roadmap in terms of if a new opportunity comes in, if there's something that we need to address ASAP, we reprioritize and we come in and we start addressing that problem. But we do have a long-term vision of like, this is how a game should be looking in, let's say, like 2 years time, 3 years time.
Okay, got it. Understood. Okay, and like moving on to just production specific things, right? It often looks smooth from the outside, but there's a lot of things that is going on, when it comes to game production. So, according to
Hmm.
you, what is the hardest part of being a game producer, which people don't talk about or rarely talk about?
So like you said, there's a lot that happens in the background. Um, like particularly for my role, there's a lot of like inwards and outwards communication. Like for me to have a visibility on like, hey, this is the bigger picture, and then distilling that information down to my team in terms of, this is how we need to address this problem right now within our group, this is what we can contribute. So oftentimes you will be under a lot of pressure where like you actually know what's happening. You have been talking to the leadership, like, hey, like this is really important for business right now. But then having that communication within your team in terms of you know what, like we were working on something else, but right now we might have to take a pivot to do this, because you need to be very careful in terms of like your team's health,
Yeah.
mental health, like making sure that they remain focused on what they're doing. And when that focus shifts, and most often than not you are that person who'll come in and tell them that, like, hey, we need to pivot, we need to change our focus, doing it in the right manner and making sure that like no one's mental health gets affected by that, and people are still able to continue get a good vibe within the team. I think getting that balance is one of the most difficult things, but also when you manage to do that, it is like the best feeling that you can get, where like your team knows that, hey, we are making this pivot now, we will need to move on to something else, we don't get to do what we were doing earlier, but like we know why we are doing this, and everyone's happy and like people are working great together.
Mm.
That's one of the best feelings that you can get as a producer.
Right, got it. I think you've answered my next question already, but I'm just still going to ask if you have a little more to add there.
Mhm.
So over time, what skills actually become more critical for producers? Is it communication, planning, instinct, or everything together? Like you said, there has to be a something that balances the team out. So, what
Yeah,
according to you is the most important skill for a producer?
I think it's a balance of all of these, because uh, and like different producers that I've worked with across the years have like probably decided to like maybe focus on one of them a bit more. Like I've worked with great leaders who were initially producers and now are studio heads,
Yeah.
and they've tried to focus more on, let's say, like product knowledge. Um, but I think you need to have that balance, because like when I just joined production as an intern within gaming, one of the things that was told to me, and I used to find it very funny, but it's like jack of all trades, master of none. And I was like, why do I need to do like 10 different things? Like I'll focus on one thing and I'll try to build myself around that. But the more you keep working in this field and the more experience that you get of working in different companies, I think that becomes more evident that like you need to have a balance of those. You need to have people management. You need to understand like your metrics. You need to be able to analyze the data that you're getting from the features that you're working on. And then you need to be able to plan. So in my head, it's a balance of all of them. I don't think I would want to like focus on just one, but then different producers choose different paths. So I don't think there's a wrong answer here.
Got it. And to add on to the same question, so like you said, jack of all trades, right? So, is it that a producer must know every discipline in and out, become a master, or is it okay to, sort of just understand what your team does and have that trust that they will do it to the best, to their best?
So trust is important. Like if I'm sitting with people, I don't have like I'll be able to talk to an engineer and I have a high level understanding of what they're talking about, but
Hmm.
I'm not an engineer. I've never trained myself in that. After a point, I have to trust that person. So to answer your question, you need to have a high level understanding of all the crafts that you work with.
Hmm.
Because if you don't have that, then you're basically just that one person who's coming in and telling them, you need to do this, you need to do this. Like, I need to be able to understand if someone's going through a problem, what that problem is about, so
Right.
that I can help them. If I'm not doing that, then I'm just like a basic project manager at the end of the day.
Hmm.
Um, but I don't think I'll ever have enough knowledge to become an expert where like I'll be like, hey, you know what, like you're bullshitting me on that. And equally, I think it is important to have that trust within your team, because otherwise you're always like focusing on like second guessing people rather than focusing on like this is what we as a team need to make.
Hmm.
Um, and a lot of that goes into hiring your team as well. That's why like Supercell is very, very specific when it comes to our hiring. Um, Once a person is inside Supercell, they have gone through all the hoops, and we know this person can be trusted.
Okay. How many round of interviews does anyone have to go through in like, on an average?
So on an average, I think like I had around 8 round 8 rounds of interviews.
Okay.
Uh, s-
Was that as an
Sorry.
intern or
No, no.
production?
Within Supercell. So when I joined,
Mhm.
I had to give around 8 rounds. But like I think there is like 5 to 8 rounds easily that you would have to do.
Right.
And we value a culture fit a lot more than any other company that I've worked with. Like if a person comes in, that person needs to be of enough trust that like they can straight up go into a team and people can be like, okay, this I can work with this person.
Right, right. Yeah, makes sense. Very
Yeah.
interesting. Also, Arjun, a lot of people listening to this are probably, aspiring producers themselves or thinking about entering the role. So,
Mhm.
for someone who wants to become a game producer today, where should they realistically start?
A lot of game producers that I've worked with across the years, they have started from QA. But if you really want to get into the role, I don't think there's any right path. Like like you should always have an understanding of what you're getting into. It's not the most glorious role, but it is very satisfying if you are the right fit for that role. Like if you really like doing this work, then you're going to be really happy with your decision. But like my suggestion would be like I think the path that I had was amazing because I got to join a company as an intern where I had enough time to like figure out if this is something that I really want to do. And equally, I entered a team of 12 different producers. So I got to see all of them working in their own different ways.
Mhm.
So in my head, I had an image of like if I spent 3 4 years in this craft, this is probably how my day to day would look.
Okay,
So coming in as an intern, getting that opportunity and just learning the ropes, I think that's the best start that you can have as a producer.
got it. And is technical background essential, or that can be, something that is understood or built along the way?
I think having some tech knowledge always helps, gives you an edge. Uh, but you can always learn on the job. I think some of the best learnings that I've had have been on the job. And we often joke about this within from my alumni from college. Uh, Most of the skills that we learned in college, when we entered a job, they were like completely redundant. But the people knowledge that we got from college was what really helped. And a lot of learning on job. Like you need to go in with the right attitude of like I don't know, I know nothing right now, but I'm here to learn.
Yeah.
And that's probably the best attitude that you can have as an intern, where like go in completely empty and be like, cool, I'm every fucking day, I'm going to talk to everyone, learn as much as I can from them, and then take a decision if this is something that you really want to do.
Arjun, before we wrap up, we just want to switch gears for a moment. Like, I'll just throw a few quick questions at you,
Mm.
and you have to say whatever comes to your mind first, like a short rapid fire round.
Sure.
Okay. So, one mobile game you admire for its production quality.
Oh, Clash Royale. And I'm not saying this because I work in Supercell, but I've been playing that game for like I think 12 years now.
Yeah.
Uh, and I don't think there's beating that game.
Likewise, I agree. Okay. A feature you had to cut that was especially hard to let go of.
There have been several, and I think that's gonna be a part and parcel of working within games, where like and in art, in creative fields in general. One of the best learnings that I had from college was never think of your work as your baby,
Hmm.
because like you have to be critical about it. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work, but always retain the learnings and then use them the next time you do something similar.
Awesome. Okay. Early morning planning or late night problem solving? What happens and what you prefer?
Early morning planning because I think I'm most active in the mornings.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. One experience every aspiring producer should go through at least once.
Um, if you're working on a live game
Mhm.
and if something breaks in the live game, fixing that problem on production, I think that is like true in the trenches experience that every aspiring producer should go through. Like, how do you take decisions when like money is getting impacted by every second where you've not made that decision? So going through that, like really makes you understand your role.
Awesome. Okay, and if you weren't working in games, what would you be producing instead?
I've always been a really big football fan. So maybe I would have gone into like something to do with management within football.
Awesome. Okay, that was it. I think coming out of that, I just want like a last few questions. I want to zoom out a bit and end on a more reflective note. Uh,
Sure.
yeah. So, what advice would you give teams trying to build genuinely player first games?
I think one of the important things that often gets missed is understanding your player. Uh, like, I cannot make a game that targets everyone. Like, can I narrow down on who actually my player is, and then build a game for them? So, like, then you can make specific decisions. Like, if I'm making a game that's targeting, like, let's say 15 to 30-year-old, then my decision making will be very different if versus if I'm making a game that's going to be targeted towards, like, let's say 60 plus.
Hmm.
So, understanding who your player is one of the most important things, and that needs to be done very early on. And another mistake to avoid is you're not making a game for yourself.
Right.
So oftentimes we put that lens on our eyes of like, I'm liking this or I don't like this, but the game is not for you. The game is for that defined player. So yeah,
Yeah, often I think we also lose out on a lot of time because we don't make these changes early because we're so attached to what we've made. Uh,
yeah,
we just, maybe are in denial sometimes. Okay.
yeah.
Okay. And what part of game production do you personally find the most rewarding?
I think when you're in your pre-production phase, when you're trying to figure out what you need to make, I think that's one of the best times to be a part of a game dev team because like no like second days like the same. You are always doing something different, and the moment you figure out like cool, this is exactly what I need to do, and then the adrenaline actually kicks in of like cool, now we've identified it, now we need to build this. But taking that journey of like not knowing anything to like getting to that point of like okay, this is what we need to make, that's one of the best things.
Awesome. Okay. All right. I think this was it, Arjun. Genuinely very insightful conversation. So, thank you for breaking down game production in such a easy, clear, and honest way for all of us. It was great to have you here.
I hope whatever I said helps
Yeah,
if anyone wants to make the switch and join game production.
definitely. Thank you so much.
Not at all. It was really nice chatting to you. See you.
Thank you. Bye.